both of us fine.
Can you see everything?
Can you see the boat? Or
You guys don't have to move, but if
we
you
have to
could-
move. We have to
Yeah,
move.
that would be great.
Actually,
Who all has to move?
The people on the corners.
Just so we have the middle clear.
Yes, I
We're good?
Yes.
Have you been able to take some time out to enjoy baby?
Not exactly.
No.
Her parents are now, so we decided I'll keep going. I know when they leave.
Okay.
Till the next shit.
Got some fun now. How are things in gaming?
And with the new the ultimate poker that just did that only, there's hope that that stuff's going to come back and whatnot. The guy I work with, he can tell you. I work for a pretty big poker player that was involved in the whole hotel and everything. Or were you asking me based on this?
Yes, both.
My real job, I'm a manager for a professional poker player. Okay, so, but poker looks like it's coming back, so the gaming's doing okay, we're coming back.
Things getting credit for more people coming in.
Does anyone have a book so I can prop this up? Because they're speaking too
You know,
soft if I put
what we've been noticing is that the numbers are back on the rise, but the gambling isn't back up to where it was. People are coming to Vegas to experience, you know, the hotels, the restaurants, that kind of
just because
stuff.
they're a bit more speaking loud.
That's what
I just saw some numbers on the news, the winnings, and they said this was for close to $1 billion again.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw, I think it was the Cosmopolitan. They just released some numbers. Now they're in their 9th losing quarter.
Okay.
Okay. However, the gaming revenue has popped up a little bit. That is a little aberrant. From what I'm noticing what's happening. You know.
To this, do you think, and are you seeing wine properties that tourism is picking up? Are more people coming in? Gaming isn't really out, but more people are here. So the numbers you hear that there are still however many millions of people flying in and here and doing those kinds of things. Is it translating into better business for you and your properties?
I think what we're seeing is, like I said, there is more, hotel experience going on. The gaming is flat or below. If I remember correctly, I just saw something on the news. They said the actual numbers are slightly down, not much, slightly down, but the amount of money that they're paying on the experience is up a little bit. So, that's what we're seeing with I think most of the properties here in Los Angeles.
Do you expect that will continue? Are you optimistic about it?
Yeah, we're very optimistic. I mean, we have to be. This is our business, so we have to be optimistic about it. What I am noticing, though, is the experience level. The higher end properties, I think, are seeing a lot more. These are the people that are staying at the higher end properties have higher discretionary incomes. So they're willing to spend a little bit more on the experience, if you will. Some of the smaller or lower end properties, if you will, I hate to throw it out there, but let's say like a Monte Carlo or something that's just a little bit lower down, they're not seeing the rebound, so to speak, because their property just isn't that, I use the word caliber. It's not really,
Are you renovating rooms because you expect things are going to pick up?
Yes.
Is that why?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if it wasn't, if we didn't have that expectation, it would be a bad bet. And we are a gambling-based company.
Of course, of course. You know, Vegas used to be a place that said, if you build it, people will come. Is this part of your hope that if you renovate, people will come?
Again, what we've noticed is, I use the Cosmopolitan again as an example, which is one of the hottest properties. That seems to be the only property that really is sort of, I don't want to use the word floundering, but it's sort of oddball. Gaming revenue's up, but initially room reservations were up and gambling was very low, and they eviscerated their gambling staff. Now they're seeing a little bit of a turnaround. That's the only property that's really seeing that. So yeah, I think that we're going to see more people, more rooms being used, an expectation of a higher quality experience. And more.
Interesting. What are you hoping to achieve by renovating your rooms?
Well, like I said, our studies have shown that it's the higher income individual that's now still coming to Las Vegas. So obviously we're hoping that renovating the rooms, better quality experience, those are the people that we're going to attract, the people that can A, afford those rooms, and B, have some discretionary income on the side to be able to gamble on our properties.
Okay. It seems like we have two fundamental questions to deal with. One is basically, when do we receive payment for the work we did on Benora? Because we're still missing $10 million. And the other is, are we going to work together to renovate the Denizen? So it seems to me that those are the two fundamental questions that we need to find answers to today. Does that seem fair?
Sure. I mean, we can talk about the, was it the High Tower project? That was the extra $10 million. I mean, essentially, having spoken with my GC, general counsel, general contractor, there's some litigation or there's some legal issues involved with that. So, other than the fact that that's what I can tell you, I don't know anything else about that.
Okay.
So,
Is this part of the construction snafu that didn't involve MK? Did it involve whatever interfered with our own? It didn't interfere a lot, but we had to circumvent?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I honestly don't know. I believe that's the case, but if that's an issue where you might sit there and say, oh, well, if it really doesn't concern us, you should pay us today, I've got nothing for you because, again, the advice of my counsel is it's working its way through the system. We believe that you'll be paid once everything is worked out. There's no indication that I have on my part that anything won't be taken care of on that. I have no information that we're trying to cut it down or it's anything of your fault. But other than that, I don't have anything else.
Okay, so that's fair to sort of answer my question, because if it doesn't involve us, why don't we get paid? And that's fair. Not sure I understand it, but apparently you don't either, so.
That's way above my pay grade, so to speak.
Okay, that's fair. Well, understand that we're not very comfortable, as much as we would like to be hired to do the renovation of the Denizen, we're not very comfortable beginning that until we do get paid for the work that we've already done. Just as a business principle, do we really want to get involved with somebody who hasn't paid us for what we've already done? And we think we did a pretty darn good job of it anyway. So I think that's a hard part for us. We can work out some details and say, hey, when we get paid, we want to move forward and take on this project, because I think it's beneficial potentially for both of us.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair point on yours. As I said, there's no indication that I have that it's anything other than some, red tape issue. And that you're okay having that thought. We do have other people that are bidding on this project. We think that you did a great job on that project, and we'd like to work with you again. Obviously, if the numbers are right and we can figure out what's going on. Unfortunately, if that is the sticking point, the high tower issue, there's not much I can do about that right now. And I have nothing more, nothing less. I've told you, I showed my cards, so to speak, on that particular issue, other than to say, well, we have other people looking, and if you don't want to do it, which would be unfortunate, because I think it's just a big win-win situation, we can move on to other, we have other people that are willing to do that. So I guess that's back to you. I don't know what.
Well, we'd like to do it, but we don't want to do it if we're not going to get paid. And given that we don't fully understand why we haven't been paid, and obviously I can't pull that out of you if you don't know either. But we'd like to work with you. We think it is something that benefits you and benefits us. And we've demonstrated that we can benefit you, given that the work that we did before has increased your occupancy and brought in more customers, and it's done everything you could have hoped for, and I think far more. The reviews you're getting from everyone are glowing. And we did it for a whole lot less money than UNLV charged you or wanted to charge you. You know, they did a job that flopped the first time for $100 million. We did it for a whole lot less than that, and did far better than that with less money.
Again, you're sort of preaching to the choir on that. I agree with you. I mean, the job was stellar, and I think it's helped us. Obviously, it's helped you. You've gotten some modicum of international exposure, and I think that, what you, being the local design group, you really want the international exposure. I mean, you want your name attached to a success as much as we do. Again, like I said, I don't know what the specifics are on the high tower issue. I can't sit here and say, oh, you're good, I'm going to get you $10 million today and let's move forward. I don't have that. Knowing that I have other individuals that are ready to step up and do this, so let me ratchet back, because it's something the council just contacted me through. I'm being told that after whatever, you'll be paid after the court process is over with. And I don't think there's any, I thought I was saying, but I don't think there's any question of that. It's just got to go through the process, and then they'll be paid.
Okay.
That's what I know. But just to sort of move it forward, maybe there are some points and numbers that we can come up with now that if we just remove that as an issue, there are some things, some concessions both of us can give to make each other comfortable that we can move on. I don't know. I guess I think there's a hope on both sides, and we'll have to figure that out.
So what are you looking for in Mendoza? What do you want done? I know there's 600 suites.
Essentially 600 suites, soup to nuts. The design, hardware, furnishings, etc.
The easy answer is it's more than twice as big as what we did for the Benora. So we would double the cost and we're good to go.
Okay. Well, let me see, just so if I have my math right. The original cost was supposed to be, I believe, 50 million, is that correct? I believe that's correct. Yeah, it's supposed to be 50 million. So if we double that, that's $100 million.
We think the cost was 65.
Okay. That was the cost with overruns and things of that nature. So.
But again, and I'm not to beat the dead horse, but those overruns are at least partially due to trying to circumvent the construction snafu. And we don't really understand all of it because we've never been involved of what F was. But part of it was that, and part of it was, you know, the artistic endeavors. As you're going, you're trying to do the best job you can with limited funds. We thought there were things that would help us exceed your expectations, and in fact, I think we have, and we've certainly exceeded your guests' expectations. So we did go over a little bit, but I don't know how to break it down between those two pieces. But it's both of them contributed to it.
You know, that some of the issues, I dealt with a lot of designers in my career. Designers come forward with the good, better, best. Or I'm sorry, they have access to the good, better, best. This is good, this is better, this is best. And I sort of always put forth the better. You know, unfortunately, in the Benora project, we were sort of over a barrel. You know, we had started, the other company, you know, didn't live up to expectations. We brought you in, and we were sort of under the gun. You did a great job, don't get me wrong. I mean, we know it, the guests know it, and you know it. But in that instance, again, we were under the gun. So that the costs and the overruns, we really didn't have a choice. Now we have a situation here where we can work it out and, you know, come to a good, something that works for both of us. So, you know, you're talking, I think you just came up with 130 million, and we're thinking more in the $90 million dollar range. And
What do you want this to accomplish? What are you hoping this will accomplish for you? What are the renovations going to do for you at the Denizen? Still bring in the high-end clientele?
I mean, yeah, obviously that's the hope. I mean, you know, the goal of any renovation is bringing in paying customers in volume. So, I mean, I think what you're getting at is, what's this going to do for us? It's going to hopefully make us money. But as you saw with the Benora on the first stage, the first time that happened, it's not always a sure thing. And that's why we had to come to you in the second. So, again, we have faith in your abilities, but the reality of it is, it could be a bust as well.
But at least you have experience with this to know that the chance of that effort slumped it.
You know, that's why we're talking to you.
Alejo and Associates dropped the ball in
You
the
know.
flop. And you can certainly go with the big name companies who are going to charge you twice as much as we will anyway, because they think their name earns them that kind of money. Or you can go with a known quantity who has brought in higher paying customers, increased your occupancy from what I understand, and they're spending a lot of money in your properties and saying great things and telling you they'll come back. So what do you really have to lose?
Well, you know, and I, you know, with all due respect, again, we're looking at, this was your premier design, and you knocked it out of the park, and no one's saying that you didn't. But, you know, the music scene, if you will, is replete with one-hit wonders, you know, Vanilla Ice, etc. So the question is, can you do it again? And, you know, if this was a $20 million project, I know it sounds like chump change, but, I mean, it doesn't sound like chump change, but for us it is. If that was what it was, no problem, come in and do it. You know, now we're talking into, you know, we have people to report to as well. We know that there's a budget. So, looking at it that way, like I said, we're looking at about 90 is sort of our top number. There are things we can do. We can do upfront deposits, depending on the schedule that you can work with. If you can get it done early, we've got some bonus incentives that I think I can offer you, things like that. But from the perspective of what our dollar amount that we're looking at, that's kind of where we're there. So.
But have you not made up for the cost, or at least moved very significantly and faster than you expected to make up for the cost of what you spent on the Benora, just because of the reviews? And you know, you can worry about us being a one-hit wonder, and I certainly understand that. I know music enough to know there have been a lot of them over the years. But we've had an awful lot of seeking our redesign efforts or renovation efforts. Apparently, they don't hold that concern as you do. We're in discussions with people for $100 million deals, give or take. And so other people apparently aren't as afraid of the one-hit wonder phenomenon that you are. And using how it works, I'm a little bit surprised that you would say that.
Yeah, I don't, again, I throw that out there as just a sort of a tempering point for us. Like I said, you did a great job, and we all appreciate it. But again, it's a corporation, and we have answer to shareholders, et cetera. And there are budgets, it's not unlimited. If it was unlimited, let's stop it or whatever. So I understand where you're coming from, and the problem is that, like I said, we have a budget. And you're talking about all these other companies that are offering you $100 million deals and whatnot. Then I have to start thinking about, well, will you have the manpower? You're a small local firm, will you have the manpower? Are the people that worked on our previous engagement, will they be working on this, or will they be working on somebody else's work? So you throw that out, and now I'm suddenly, I don't know where we are with that, because we're hiring the team, so to speak, that did the Benora. And if that team isn't going to be working on the new project, I have concerns. So again, I don't know if you're interested in, we can try and hammer out what our top dollar is, and then move on to, with incentives and things like that, if that's worth it to you, or I'm not sure I'm getting the feel from you, so to speak, just where we want to be.
Help me understand, why 90? Where did that number come from?
We looked at, I believe, the cost of the Benora project, which was originally 50. There were cost overruns and things of that nature. Obviously, we're almost doubling the number of rooms, but of course we know that when buying things in bulk, in mass, we're going to get better discounts, et cetera, things like that. So, it was a complicated analysis that my accounting department sort of came up with. But it's based primarily on that. We took what we had done before, and we also look. Like I said, there are incentives if you think you can bring it in, before time that we, work out according to our opening schedule and whatnot. That's essentially where that number came from.
Okay. Our numbers, just to give you a feel for this, say that materials, so hardware, artwork, wood that we're going to use for this are going to cost us $75 million. If that's the case, then we're not looking at clearing much of the way of money over and above that for the labor costs and everything else that comes in if we settle at 90. That's sort of tough for us. And we think that suites are bigger than rooms, and Benora's rooms and suites, and I don't know the breakdown. I don't remember. I can go back and look at my records, but I don't have them. So we think this is going to be a bigger deal than just double the number of rooms, suites, whatever you want to call them. So we think that actually is more than double, but really because it's a round number, easy. So I guess, I know you want to bring in clientele, and that means you want to grow your business, or at least the income side of it. What will you do with money you make off of this? What will you do with the money the profits that you make?
Profits from the hotel?
From these hotels, the Benora, and from the Denizen, assuming it's profitable.
That's an interesting question.
You're growing your business, are you going to open more properties internationally, more on the stroke?
I've got to keep it sort of generic. In the sense of, we're a corporation, and we pay our operating expenses, and then we pay shareholders, we pay, management, and then we have a piece left over. If we have enough left over, being that it is a corporation and our fiduciary duty is owed to our shareholders, we have to analyze the market and say, this looks like a good time to expand, or maybe we need to contract, or depending. And a lot of that obviously is dependent upon if you do a good job and the people will come, that's where we're gonna go. So,
Do you have dreams about expanding line
well,
as a company, not you personally, but
Yeah.
as a company?
The last I read, I don't remember if it was Time or Fortune or whatever it was, we're listed as the #2 gambling company in the world. Not many people like to be #2. Wouldn't it be nice to be #1?
Okay.
So, given that, I think.
So how do you become #1? What enables you to do that? Is it growth? Is it just improving your current product? I mean, I don't know what influences rankings.
Yeah, I mean, if you go by the numbers, unfortunately, Las Vegas is not the place to be right now. It's Macau. I mean, if that's where you want to really grow your numbers. So, with that sort of, mindset, this might not be a good idea right here, right now, to do this project. I think the company is, we're in Nevada Center. This is sort of our give back to the state, if you will. From here on in, I don't know. Really, once this is what we have on the plate right now. What we have in the future, I don't know. So, the reality of it is, if this happens and things go well, there's expansion to be had. Where is it going to be? Again, probably over my pay grade.
Okay, let me ask you this. If you bring in, if you're successful at bringing in more higher end clientele, then is that what's needed to get you moved from rank #1 or #2 to #1? Is it something that simple? Is it profitability? I don't know what the rankings are based on.
Yeah, and I think this is the interesting question. The rankings, hotellery, if you will, used to be a throwaway. It was not really impacted on the bottom line for a lot of these gaming companies. It was the gaming. And as we were talking about earlier, this has changed. So can I say to you that we're now moving from sort of a gambling company to more of a hotel company? If gaming ended in Las Vegas, would people still be coming here just to stay in the hotels? I don't know. So it's a real complicated analysis. Also, you can look at it in terms of with Macau taking off. I mean, the reason that's taking off is because it's sort of the concept of gaming and luck is very big in Asian cultures. And it used to be we had a huge influx of Asian customers here into Las Vegas. It's shrinking a little because of Macau. Now there are still things that happen here in Las Vegas that don't happen in Macau. So everything is very volatile right now.
So success for you in terms of the renovation part just means whether or not we're successful at bringing in more customers and more higher paying customers.
Well,
Is that what success means?
Success-
As far as the renovations are concerned?
success for you on the renovation would be like the Benora. We had an awful product, you came in and made it a great product, okay? I can't guarantee that even if you make the great product on this one, that we're gonna get the revenue. But the success for you is people, it's essentially, it's Yelp, it's Twitter, it's all of those things. These rooms are awesome, go here. Will that translate into reservations down the line? Nobody knows. It worked for the Benora, and there could obviously be something else affecting, there could be another downturn in the economy, things like that, we just don't know. But the reality of it is, that's a success for you. For us, that's part of the success. We have a good room, that's great, now we have to bring the clients in as that. Marketing opportunities, tournaments, things like that. That's sort of the other aspect of it. But I mean, again, that's sort of the interesting thing is because we have, you know, the properties all over the world, and we can offer to bring people in, international exposure, which I think is one of the things that you're really interested in. I mean, you want to, you're local, but you are getting the chops to really, you know, go someplace. And we can offer that to you, because we do have the properties, Singapore, Macau, et cetera. We can obviously bring people in from those places, so.
And you voiced a concern a few minutes ago about you're not sure if you'll have the same team working on the demos that you did on the Benora. You know, one of the advantages that we have being so successful, and face it, we're young, we're small, we're ambitious, we think we're creative and good. People, artistic types, want to work with organizations that are small and nimble and ambitious and want to do new and exciting things. We don't think we'll have trouble finding really high quality people if we need to expand our workforce. We have been sort of inundated with applicants anyway, with people who are either experienced or coming out of schools who want to work for an up-and-comer kind of design company. We're not really very concerned. I understand your concerns, and I certainly don't question them at all from your vantage point. But we think we have, even if we take on some of these other projects, which are at this point we haven't accepted the bids, we're still negotiating with them as well. We don't think there's any reason we can't put our same team on the Denizen. Obviously, we need to do the team twice as big. But we don't think there's any reason the nucleus has to change. You know, like one person here or there, we can hire and people quit and people come, whatever. But for the most part, it's the same crew. We don't lose many people. What's going on? They like the growth. They like the international exposure. They share that with us. They bought into our culture and our growth and our desires. So
that's good.
I'm
good to hear.
I'm not really worried about that. I can't tell you that it'll never be a problem, because who knows what the future really holds. But I don't really think it's an issue. We've had so many quality applicants, and we have so many quality people who are staying and talking to their colleagues and friends around the world, not just here. They've got classmates and friends and colleagues from all over the place. So it works for them. So they're probably our best recruiter anyway. So we're hiring people now.
Good to hear.
So I understand your concern, and I'm not trying to put it off or discount it. I think it's very valid and very legitimate, but I don't think it's a real concern. At least from our perspective, it's not. Okay. So we think we should give you pretty much the same as we had before.
Okay.
And we honestly think that if we do that, and if the quality of our work is the same, we don't really see why it wouldn't be, as long as we have an idea of what you want, we can improve upon what you want, as we did with the Benora. And we have the current setting as it exists now anyway. We have that from the work that I did. We can certainly take that, know that it's working or not working, and fix those things, so we have that to go on. And again, we're in no quantity for you. You can always go out and hire the bigger name people who are going to charge you more, or the new crowd if they don't get that kind of money. But we don't really think there's much of an issue with A, putting our people on that, and B, making this every bit as good or better. Once again, we're not creating from scratch, so we don't have to worry about those things, but we'll know what's working that you have now, and we can pretty much get a pretty good clue what we need to fix to make it better.
Okay.
From a guest perspective. Again, creating from scratch would be harder, because I mean, we're doing now, we probably have to do some market work and survey market customers, your own, find out what they like. But we pretty much have a pretty good clue of that now, because something exists and we know what they like and don't like. Okay, we talk to them. When they come in, we can talk to your people. If we need help, if you can't tell us that, your guests can.
Okay. Where do we want to go?
You know, at the risk of sounding facetious, we'd like to work out something where we get fully paid. Like the Benora project and $10 million. Chunk change to you, not so much to a small business that's getting where it's trying to grow.
So let me just put that, hopefully, we'll put that together.
And I'm hoping that it is, and that's why we're talking.
As I understand it, after the case is over, you'll be paid. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, no questions about that, so.
Other than that, we'd like to be funded well enough to do the caliber of work that you expect that will bring in your guests. You know, the 65 million, I know it was the cost overruns are in there, but the 65 million did it with the Benora. You've been successful, you've acknowledged that you were successful. Everybody's acknowledged that we were successful with that. We really do think we'll be successful again. We don't think we're a one-shot wonder. History will prove us right or wrong, and I understand that. But we think there's too much on the line for us not to do superior work. If we really do want to grow, if we want that international growth, we don't have a choice but to do things that are spectacular for you.
Okay.
Okay? Face it, you're at this point the number 2 company, some I'm sure would differ with that and argue you're number 1. But you are a highly regarded hotel company, gaming company, whatever you want to call it, hospitality company, I guess is the easiest way to call it. You obviously, if we do great work for you and you grow and benefit from this, we do, when people see the work that we do, they will either be impressed or unimpressed. If we do garbage work, we're screwing ourselves. So we can't really afford to do that.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any real risk of us, unless we don't fold this business. I
Okay.
don't think any real people do.
I mean, I hear everything you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying. I mean, the only thing I think right now that we're disagreeing about is what's going to cost. So I'm going to tell you right now, 130 million is too much.
Do you think 90 is adequate?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But 130 is too much.
Okay. And again, the problem for us, and I know I'm going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, and I don't mean to, but if we're going to do the quality of work that you want, 90 is going to leave us hanging, just like 50 left us hanging with the Benora. And we don't really want to do the cost overruns, and we don't think it really $15 million. We think there were other factors that contributed to that, but we did go there. We're not denying that. But 90 is going to leave us hanging where either we incur those overruns again, or we deliver something that's inadequate for you. And that's our biggest concern. Okay? 130 is just an easy number, and it makes sense. We think we could do that. We think we could give you something that's every bit as good as the Benora turned out to be, just twice as much of it.
Okay.
But if you can't do that, then what can you do?
Well, you know, and that's the $40 million question, so to speak, where in that we have a range of $40 million. So, you know, what it comes down to is, I think 130, no, that's not me saying I think 130. I mean, 130 is too much for the budget. I mean, I threw 90 out there as, you know, a starting point. So you gave me a number, I gave you a number. What's your next number?
Again, the more we cut, the more difficult of a time we're going to have matching what we do with the Benora. So I mean, 120. The bulk bond helps us with that.
Let me just look here. I'm looking at some of the numbers I have. And you basically said the budget for furniture, hardware, and other materials would be about $75 million.
That's what our numbers tell us, yes.
So, you know, I've dealt with designers before. Basically, you know, in the industry, so to speak, there's about usually a 33% markup. those kinds of items, furniture, hardware, et cetera, things of that nature. So, you know, your price would be somewhere in the nature, if it was 75 million, add 33% to that, that's, I don't have my calculator, it's somewhere in the 105 range, I believe it is, something like that. Is that right?
Sure.
Yeah. About 105-ish, about 105-ish. So, I mean, what, if you've already told me that 75 is what the sort of the hard goods are gonna cost. And then, you know, sort of industry standard is 33% over that, so we're at about 105.
Tell me again why you think that the 75 is inflated? 'Cause that's-
I don't think it's inflated. No, I mean, you're telling me that's.
You're talking about cost for equipment, materials, plus 30%, 33%.
33%. I mean, it's, like I said, that's sort of the standard number in the industry. So if and I don't disagree with you that I think that we're looking at a project where the furniture, the hard goods, so to speak, are 75 million. I think we agree on that.
Okay.
All right. So now we're just talking about the sort of the gravy on top of it for your company.
Let me ask you this, if we're going to talk about sort of standard numbers. You've seen the work that Aleo did. If they're a standard, do you really want to have that kind of work done again? Or do you want something that's better than that? I mean, if they were 30%, 33% above the cost of the materials for their price, then we did things that were prices were better than what they did. It's because we have people who are very skilled and very good at what they do.
Oh,
We have to pay them very well.
Right, now, here comes the issue is, like I said, the industry standard is a 33% over and above hard goods. And if I hear what you're saying is, you're saying, well, Aleo charged whatever industry standard is, and they did a bad job. And we need to charge more because we're gonna do a good job. And you're talking about based on, you know, quality of employees and things like that. I mean, I can turn around and just say, well, in this particular instance, Aleo just dropped the ball. You know, they blew it. Now, and that does happen, unfortunately, and that caught us, we had with our pants down on the last project, and we had to pay to have you. But now this is a new project. And, you know, I can keep going back to the B word, which is budget, and tell you that if we both agree that I think 75 million is the cost, that's the right price for what the hard goods we want to put into this hotel. And again, you did a great job, and why that for the benefit that everybody's going to get on this project, that we should be paying you more than what the industry standard is, the 33%. Again, you did one project very well. We hope that you're going to do the rest of the projects for us very well. But you know, nothing that I've seen so far, you know, is screaming that more than industry standard, which is the 33%. So we come out to about 105-ish, you know, give or take a couple $100,000 amongst friends, you know, whatever that is. You know, that's sort of, I think that's the number that we're looking at. And like I said, we can work out some issues on if you get it done faster. There's some money to be made there and things of that nature. There's some, you know, upfront deposit money that we can probably get throughs to carry us through and whatnot. But I think that's where we're. I think that's where we are.
You know, I don't know how sold I am on your expectation that we're going to do industry standard work. You've already seen us do far superior work to at least your experience with industry standard. Even if AMA did drop the ball, I tend to question whether that's what happened with them, but they have a reputation as being one of the biggest and the best, so supposedly they've done better work elsewhere. Or maybe people have just grown to expect their standard of work and not look for better work. Your guests certainly like better work. And in my mind, this is a piece of customer service, and we're offering you a way to offer your customers much better service, not the quality of your people working. We're not talking about that at all, and that's a lot of the customer service piece. But we're talking about the physical plant and what kind of service that translates into. We think we're better than standard, because standard to us sounds like average, and our people laugh when people say you're average or you're standard. And we've already shown you that we do far better than the industry standard set by the leader in the industry. So I guess we have some difficulties with that part of it. We think we're better than that 33%. We pay for that. We pay our people for it.
Okay. Okay. I'm offering you essentially industry standard. You know, that's, the problem is that you're a small local firm that doesn't get these kinds of jobs. You just don't. We picked you up on the last one. We were behind the 8 ball. We made a good choice. We went out on a limb. We took you, and it panned out. That was a good thing. However, this is a new project, as I said earlier. And the problem being that firms of your size and experience don't get these projects. They just don't. And that's why A&A is in existence. They're the ones that get these. So, sort of to move forward on our first, non-emergency project, or non-behind-the-8-ball project, however you want to call that. And this is our first project where we're soliciting your bid, and we think you have you can help us, and we think we can help you, because if this project goes forward, now you've done 2 projects for a major corporation. You're going to get the international exposure that I know you're seeking. By no means am I saying that you guys are average, but industry standard is industry standard. I mean, like I said, your company doesn't get these kinds of opportunities. So to do this kind of a project with the intangibles, the exposure, the recognition, et cetera, sort of the entree into this larger, bigger corporate world aspect, because what are we really talking about here? I mean, if I'm at 105, what's your real bottom line? I mean, how much are we really talking about?
We think we cut corners, not on the quality of what we do, but we think that we cut corners in terms of making money for us by doing the Benora for 65. We think we could have done better work if we had more money. Granted, we know we went over. We're not questioning that or disputing that. We think we could have done better work, better in terms of helping us help you, because we would have done better financially from that. Because we basically absorbed some of the costs that we haven't charged you. And other people are willing to pay. We have an offer for a $95 million project on 500 rooms. So other people think we can do better than standard, because they're doing the smaller jobs, paying almost as much as you are. And granted, it's a little bit less, but it's also a smaller project. So we think we're in the ballpark with looking at 120. We think we're in that mode of what makes sense.
Then I guess unfortunately we're at that point where someone at this table has to do some soul searching. Unfortunately, it's not me. Our number is, we're, like I said, I have a budget. I've already offered you sort of what the rate is. We know what the rate is. It's a calculation. It's hard goods plus 33%. That's what it is. I've given you all of that so far. So, we'd like you to do this project. You know, the last project was very successful. I think there's a sort of there's a win-win involved in all this, but, you know, you came in at 130, I came in at 90, I mean, the middle point is 110. That point. I came up 15, you came down 10. So even I sort of tipped a little bit there. I gave you a little bit extra that I've got in my back pocket to give you, because we do like you, we want you to do this project. But at this point, you're sort of pricing yourself out of what we've got. So.
I heard the 105, I didn't hear the 110, so I'm bad ears. So let's talk.
No, I didn't throw 110 out there, but all I was saying was if you were at 120 and I'm at 90, that middle point is 110. That's, each one of us gives up the 20. All I did was a calculation, which was, you know, the 75 million plus the 33%, which is the industry standard aspect of it. So. Are you telling me that 110 is that's your number?
No.
Okay.
Because I really 105, but,
You know.
but I think we can talk about some other pieces and see if we can make the whole package work.
Okay.
Are you willing to pay us a deposit?
We are. Just get my numbers here, I'm just looking at my calendar, because that's part of what we're looking at. We will have an upfront deposit. You know, and I'll be honest with you at this point, I can sit here and I can lowball you and give you a small number. And you can come back with a big number. We can haggle for a long time until we get to that point, which is kind of what we're doing on the net. So I'm just going to short circuit